Welcome everybody to another episode of GrowthCast, highlighting the stories of entrepreneurs, creatives, and community builders who are helping shape Ottawa and beyond. My name is Bassem El Gouabi and I'm joined with my partner Anjana, and we're passionate about storytelling, community, and showcasing the people behind the businesses that make neighborhoods like Little Italy such vibrant and inspiring places. For our first episode, we're incredibly excited to be sitting down here in the beautiful Santini Gallery in the heart of Preston Street with owner and curator Lauren Santini. Today we'll be talking about entrepreneurship, creativity, building community through art, a little bit about the evolution of Little Italy and the journey of creating something meaningful and lasting here in Ottawa. Lauren, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business and journey?
Sure. My name is Lauren Santini. I grew up here in Ottawa, and at about 26, when I was finished all my schooling, I started an art consulting business, which eventually turned into an art gallery. I opened my art gallery in the beginning of 2014, I believe, and it started with art consulting. I was consulting for different offices, a lot of law firms and accounting firms, building art collections. And at that time, I was building a lot of relationships with local artists. And I didn't really plan on opening a gallery, but I had access to all this beautiful artwork and relationships with artists, and that's what happened. So I started with that, and over time, I built it up to have local jewelry makers, local soap, candles, and a lot more gifts. And then eventually last year, so probably around my 12th year in business, I expanded into Santini Home, which is a home decor shop, which is on the second story of the gallery here.
Okay. And so the home decor shop is kind of, it's related to the gallery, but it's a secondary stream for you?
Yeah, so the home decor shop really came about during and after COVID. Certain things, a lot of luxury goods, selling $500 painting, $1,000 painting became harder with the economy. And I noticed I was selling a lot more small goods, pieces of pottery, soap, jewelry. That also started to develop because the neighborhood has grown so much with the amount of condos going in. There's a lot more residents, and often residents are looking for a bag of Happy Go coffee or, a vase for their countertop, something like that. So I decided to develop the home store out of a few different needs and sort of the changing economy and neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah, and there's been condos that have gone up and stuff, so yeah, hopefully that has started to materialize more business for you.
It really has. I would say this past year especially, I see a lot more business from the condos, and I'm really excited about the next 10 years with the Civic Hospital, with LeBreton Flats, and all the condos that are slated around here. I do think that the whole landscape of the street will change. And hopefully we gain more retail because we are a very restaurant, a destination for restaurants.
Right.
So I'm hoping that with time, some of the little spots in between places start to fill in with some more varied shops.
So what do you think about the area? Like, what's the reason behind for you to choose Little Italy Preston for your business?
Okay, so for me, that's very personal. My dad grew up in this neighborhood. I've grown up around this neighborhood. A lot of my family still lives here. So for me, it felt like home. I also wanted a neighborhood where I saw a lot of future development. So my first shop was actually on Elgin Street, which helped me build my corporate background. Just being around all of the office towers was really great for me. But when that lease came up, I wanted a more homey neighborhood and somewhere where I saw a lot of, future progression. Yeah. And, the heritage background of it. I know so many of the people who own businesses here. They're close family friends. I also live in the neighborhood, so I really do love that sort of 15-minute community idea where you live and work and walk to all the things that you consume. So that's something that's very important to me, and I try to live by that as much as I can.
Yeah, I feel like when talking to business owners and people that the businesses are rooting for each other, And
absolutely. And I think what's special here that maybe you don't see in too many other neighborhoods in the city is that it's a lot of family-run businesses and a lot of businesses that have been, in families for generations, like La Roma or Preston Hardware, Cafe Italia. So there's a lot of places that are families, and when you become close to them, you really want to support families that you love.
Yeah, so one of our themes for this GrowthCast is really reaching out to up-and-coming entrepreneurs, whatever their interest may be, So, and that's one of the reasons, just what you mentioned, in Little Italy, there's a lot of businesses that are family-run. They're from the ground up and all of that stuff. So, from your experience and also talking with other owners, what advice would you give to an up-and-coming entrepreneur?
That's a tough one because I feel like when I started, I was 26, fresh out of school, probably had a lot of, naivety and delusion that allowed me to do it. Mm-hmm. I think it would be a different landscape nowadays. I think, without getting too into it, the rising costs of rent and property taxes and everything is probably weighs a lot more on people now, sort of 13 years later. But it's cheesy, go after your dreams.
Yeah.
If you can build a life doing what you love, I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that. Sometimes other people call it delusion, but you call it passion,
Yeah.
Drawing from my own kind of, without getting too much into it,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Until you take some steps, a lot of, could be family or friends wants you to go down the trodden path. We're a government city, we're a retail city, all of this stuff, so I'm sure that there's, you could speak to that, sometimes even people that are close to you, they can be well, maybe there's a safer path for you.
For sure. I think for me, because Ottawa is a fairly small arts community and my background's in arts, I would have loved a job at the National Gallery. However, there aren't a lot of jobs to be had.
Yeah.
Most commercial galleries, like my own, are 1 to 2 people businesses, right? So there wasn't a lot of opportunity for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that's what led me to do this. I think everybody can be really tempted by having the security of something else. And there are a lot of people who start jobs on the side. I know I have so many friends who have become entrepreneurs while keeping their stable job and built that up before they left it,
right?
Which is also, a very valid path.
Right.
But for myself, it was really the lack of opportunity in what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I guess sometimes it's kind of like you're a certain puzzle piece and you're trying to find a place to fit yourself, or maybe that set isn't around you.
For sure. And that said, I also think sometimes there's a lot of pressure to know exactly what you're going to do. And I don't know how much of everything that came about for me I planned on.
Right.
A lot of things come up as you go. A lot of the time you're adjusting to the economy or sales or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to have a perfect vision. I think there's a big obsession with, a 5-year plan and knowing exactly what you're going to do with everything. And I'm not sure how much of that I actually had.
Yeah.
Right? So I think sometimes it's good to have an open mind and not be too concerned with your long-term plan.
And also, like, I would like to circle back to the delusion part. Like, that is something that most of the entrepreneurs has in common. Like, even me, like when I back in Sri Lanka when I started my company, it's been a tough situation where people are doubting, but you have to have that passion which people with, and a lot of people see that as like a delusion. And throughout the entrepreneurial career, what's that hardest challenge that you had to overcome in business?
Oh gosh, there's definitely a few of them. I think number one, when you work in something that is your passion, which I think is relatable to a lot of sort of creative or artistic jobs, sometimes the day-to-day and the admin of everything can take away from your love for something. So trying to balance those two things and still find time to love art is something that I had to, I think, get used to. And also knowing that, sort of remembering that anything you do just because you love it, there are parts that you will not love. I do not love accounting. I do not love scheduling staff. There's a lot of things that maybe aren't my strength, but you kind of have to cover all of that. I do think it's hard to work primarily alone when it's just you and your ideas and you don't necessarily have a lot of people to fall back on for making decisions. That can be really tough. I'm lucky that my husband helps me with a lot of that, but at the end of the day, I still have to decide what my vision is or what path I want to take with certain things. So I think that's something I've really had to get used to. And then I think sort of broader for anybody in retail or sales, there's always ebbs and flows from year to year. And I think it's really important to learn not to tie your feeling of success to your sales that year, which can be really hard in this industry.
Yeah, I guess something that I've reflected on in business is, with my experience, like having mentors and can be really a big thing, and then also like you've been in the business for a certain amount of time. So there's a two-part kind of question. It's like how have mentors kind of played a role if they have, and also have you taken anybody under your wing as well? Yeah,
so I'm so lucky that a lot of my, whether they were family friends who became really great clients who have mentored me. I'm lucky to have a lot of role models, women in business who have given me a lot of advice. And I certainly have bounced different business, ideas and struggles off a lot of these mentors of mine. So that has been really helpful. And I do think sometimes for women in business, it's important to have those women to look up to who have balanced big careers with families and making decisions, and it's important to have that.
Yeah. How does that play into, like, I know you're involved with the Preston BIA, and there's, I guess there's other business owners that are part of the board and stuff like that. So that's probably, maybe you could speak briefly to how that has played a part.
Absolutely. My decision to join the board, the BIA, was really to, I think, again, in business, you have to create your own opportunities. I think there's a lot of ways in which, if you really want to benefit from different community events, so for instance, the Italian Festival, Tulip Festival, any number of the events that go on in our neighborhood, if you want to benefit from them, you sort of have to adjust what you're doing to it. So for instance, for Italian Festival, I bring in a lot of Italian themed product that I don't sell regularly. But it helps bring a lot of people into the store, and it's actually our biggest week of the year. But I had to really adjust what I was doing to make that event work for me. Now, going back to the BIA, I wanted to have some say and some control in how I participate in these events. I also wanted to be a bit of a voice for retail because we are largely restaurants. A lot of our events do favor that because it's what we're known for, so it makes total sense. However, I like to have some input in what we can do to help some of the other types of businesses as well. So that's something that I have found to be very fulfilling and very helpful for me as a business, because you really have to promote yourself and you have to advocate for yourself, and I think put a lot of effort into the events that happen in your community to get the most out of it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons that we have started this podcast ourselves.
Yeah.
To really kind of connect more with the fabric of the community and the business owners and hear their stories more.
Yeah, exactly. I really like that part where you said you had to create your own opportunities, because most of the people think that the right time will come.
Yes. Yeah. Doesn't always work that way.
Yeah. And this is the last question.
Yeah.
So this is a question that we ask everybody. So what's that one piece of advice would you give to your younger self if you were to meet her today?
I don't know if I have a piece of advice, but I do have a really sort of cheesy quote that I read very early on when I was starting. And it made me feel, I think, a lot better about my vision or my plan. And again, it's a little cheesy, but the quote is, reach for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. So even if you don't achieve your full vision, even if everything isn't perfect, you'll still do something great, is what I took from that. And honestly, I've remembered that quote ever since, and I think about it often. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a beautiful space, the paintings and the art and everything. Like, and then you feel at home, So thanks so much.
I do. It is nice to come to work and be surrounded by a lot of beauty. So that does make my job and my day very nice.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the GrowthCast. We've been so pleased to be at Santini Gallery with Lauren Santini, and stay tuned for our next episode.